Hi there guys, Richard here from the Leather Repair Company, and this is Jon. He is one of our franchise owners. Where are you from, Jon, and what area do you cover?
So I cover Penshurst, well, sorry, from Penshurst, live in Penshurst right now, and I cover Kent, but do go out further into.
So you cover like the whole of Kent.
Whole of Kent, yeah,
and then
we do, go into Sussex, and and when needed, even into London if need be. But it's but generally, most of the business in Kent.
All in the Kent area, So, but obviously, depending on the job, I presume, then you can travel. If it's like a tiny little scuff, like a few quid, it's not worth it, is it? Obviously financially, but obviously if it's a much bigger job, you don't mind travelling. If there's several in the area, again, I guess if they're smaller jobs, that there's several on the same day, then it makes it viable as well. But it's you've obviously got to weigh up the cost element of that as well. But I mean, you certainly had the jobs in London, which we've done. Been a fantastic results on those as well. So it's been great. So Jon does travel further afield, which is good. You obviously can contact him via his email, LRC Kent at leatherrepaircompany.com. There is obviously the Facebook pages, Instagram, TikTok as well. We are building that up and getting that more sort of proactive and going on there. It's just everything's a learning curve of what we're doing, because it's not just the training that we've gone through with you for several weeks of training. Obviously, you're here at HQ today learning about brand new products that we're bringing out. Obviously, that is an advantage of being a franchise owner. People get to see those things firsthand, and obviously, top secret, is a good product. So it's fantastic. What we're doing with that particular product. So Jon's here to obviously go through that, the testing. We've been doing it for a couple of years, but it gives him some insight into that new product. With proper field experience, which works quite well. Talking about field experience, and obviously the whole journey with the franchise, you obviously came to the detailing summit. It was 2 years ago now, or thereabouts, believe it or not.
Of course, it is 2 years.
It's 2 years. It's actually it doesn't time fly. It's amazing. So 2 years ago, and it's like bloody hell. Obviously, you came to the detailing summit, which was an event that we organised, which is detailingsummit.com, which is like a free event that where detailers or anybody that wants to get into the industry can come to learn about any aspect of the business, whether that's machine polishing or leather or whatever, or PPF, dents, anything you can sort of learn about. Obviously you came to that, which was a fantastic event that we had. It was the first one in the world, the proper official first detailing summit in the world. And obviously you saw the franchise there, and from that, what happened?
Yeah, well, basically what happened is I've got to meet you, obviously, me and Carolyn, and actually I've always been interested in leather because having been, detailing, valeting, detailing, I was always getting asked about, can you solve this on the bolster? Can you do this with a steering wheel and so on? I was always saying no. Yeah. And because of that, knowing that coming to the detailing summit and getting that, your experience, you're very good explaining on, I could see that this is someone that really knows their stuff, and I thought, well, hey, this is, it can't be a bad thing to get to learn from them, from someone that has so much experience in leather and so on, and so it's just about that's triggered the let's look into this. How viable is this? And then talking with you, we had the Zoom call and to talk about is this a viable thing to do and so on, to have it actually have a franchise business. That's been a proven system sort of thing to get it going. So we bought into that, and which was a very simple process, but very thorough. It's got to work for both sides.
Absolutely.
And it's all triggered from the detailing summit, and before we knew it, by the end. Pretty much the end of that year, we was on board, and just getting up and running, it's and we got everything to get us started, and it's just keep gaining experience and so on. But it was a very very nice process to go through.
So obviously with that process, obviously we had meetings, we had Zoom meetings, we had in-person meetings and stuff like that. Obviously there was the contract going backwards and forwards with adjustments and things like that. Getting all that sorted out, like with everything is negotiable at the end of the day, and everything is there to be changed and altered and things like that to suit the situation for the franchisee in that particular area. Obviously, it was a franchise where there's obviously you and your partner and stuff like that, which is a great sort of. I'm going to use the term sort of marriage in this respect, as far as the two working together, doing admin and that side. And you out on the road trying to concentrate and focusing on the work while Sam is like focusing on the sort of administration side, the running of the business side, the financial side, the sort of marketing side, which is a great sort of tie up and a relationship to have.
Absolutely.
It allows you to focus more on going out doing the repairs, getting the jobs in. Sam is obviously looking at the diary, obviously negotiating with you with the diary and times and stuff like that. It's a whole thing from the beginning. It's a learning curve, because sometimes some things take a little bit longer than what you expect, and then other things take a lot less time than what you expect. So it's all this is sort of like a learning curve, isn't it?
A lot of learning. It is a lot of learning. That's the thing. It's and rightly so. You can't. I'd never thought, I'll just be. You get the training. You just know everything, and it's all just done. Like with everything, you learn even the detail and balancing, and any job you do, any skill you're learning. This is a skill. This is a craft, and you just can't. You have to do hours to get to actually really get good at it. And even though I've done it for quite a little while now, I'm. Where everyone learns all the time, but I'm still. There's still things that catch you.
There is me, like 40 years down the line.
So
it's as simple as that.
But the good thing is, I know I can come to you and Carolyn if I've ever got an issue, whatever, we just can talk through it and get the support as part. As you do. I help everyone anyway. But I know I can easily, with confidence, get answers or at least just have someone to chat to.
Well, that's it. Obviously, we've got the WhatsApp chat there, so that is obviously something quite unique for the franchisees that we have, is so that they can get that instant help, so that we can hook up with a video if we need to while you're on the job, and it means everybody can join that video call. That is part of that franchise, whether that's employees or not. And I think it's the same thing. That help, I think, is absolutely crucial to the success of any franchise. It doesn't matter whether you're, buying a burger franchise, selling hot dogs, selling baked potatoes, repairing leather, doesn't matter what it is. I think that backup is one of the most important things that you can have, because if you don't have that backup, you're going to lose faith. You're just going to, it's the whole thing just fails because you haven't got that security to know that there's somebody there on your shoulder that's saying, John, you can do this. John, you've got this. Let's do this together. Let's resolve this problem. Because it's like I've always said to you from the beginning, there never is a problem. We just need to fix and find the solution. And there's no point me, if there is a problem, if the job goes wrong, if something happens, something goes wrong, or you get stuck and you can't work it out, it's pointless me coming saying, oh my God, you should know how to do that. We went through it on the training. Let's fix it.
Exactly.
Let's find a solution. Let's resolve this, because someone shouting at somebody else doesn't do anybody any good, because all that does then is knock your confidence. You thinking, well, do I really want to be part of this?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I wouldn't want to be.
And the same, they've never had it. Nothing like this happened. So it's nice to. It's very, it's very comfortable to sort of chat with you and keep learning and you do explain things so well and so on. So absolutely.
And it's like with the videos. I mean, obviously we were talking about something the other day about a certain technique that we were doing, and obviously we were like, just give us 10 minutes, we'll create a video. So we created the video and banged it straight over on WhatsApp. Brilliant, solved the problem. But then you've got that there. If it's in 5 years' time, you've maybe forgotten about that particular process. You've got it because it was a process that wasn't used very often, so it's something that you can then go back to because it's always in that WhatsApp chat. So you've got it permanently. That's just a good thing with it.
And that's for me, it's really important because we do, as part of the franchise, you do get a manual that of course you can refer to all the times. But not everyone. I mean, I can perfectly read fine, but I better learn from viewing a video or doing it practically on hands-on. That's why I'll always be practicing myself at my location and so on. If I'm not sure on something, I'll just keep trying it and make sure I hone it down. So that's when you produce these so many YouTube videos as well. But obviously, if you just quickly say, just to help me take it on board, what you've said, you just quickly do a video, that works so well.
Because then you've got it for life, haven't you? You've got it there to just keep refreshing your memory. So I think something you touched on there, I think is quite important, what you've said there as well, is the fact that, at your particular location down in Kent where you are, is to keep trying to learn new skills. So it's, I presume, like buying in maybe, like handbags, shoes, car seats, sofa, whatever, and just keep learning and refreshing your skills how to do that. And it's just keep trying different processes to find what works, so that when you go out into the field, into the real life, you've tried to hammer out create as many difficulties as you can on test pieces that you purchase to try to learn different things. I think that's actually quite a good sort of concept to have, is to to physically do it rather than just going straight out there.
Exactly.
You know, and doing that on a client's item is to keep having these test pieces to keep doing this thing. So which I think is actually quite an important thing, is to have that test piece to, you know, to learn different skills and stuff like that. You know, maybe create problems. You know, to try to get rid of, you know, that problem that you've created, is to try to eliminate that problem.
Yeah,
by
and
doing it on a test piece.
get your confidence up. You know, it's nothing like if you've not, you know, if not done something so many times, you go out. You know, you want to know you've done it a few times, or at least something similar.
Yeah.
And so on. But also you'll find is that you do it one way, you think, oh, that's the process, but then you go on site and you think, well, that wasn't what I was expecting.
Yes.
And that's the bit where you gain, you keep growing. The more experience you have with different things, different items, could be different colours, could be different levers, and the variables in this game.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Massive.
Yeah, well that's it. I mean, that's the one thing that sort of really grinds me, where people are like, oh, it's not leather in the car, it's painted. Leather's been painted for over 100 years, and this is the problem with lack of knowledge with, you know, certain individuals where they've been watching like YouTube channels with sort of like YouTube people that are paid to do reviews, and they don't really know what they're talking about, because the thing is, leather has been painted for over 100 years at the end of the day. So it's always, you know, even when it was veg tan back in, you know, when cars began, it still had a paint on the surface.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, it had a paint on the surface. So, and this is the problem with it. That needs protecting, it needs feeding, it needs nourishing. And people don't understand that. So that is where we try to help with as much education as we possibly can to get as much knowledge into people. But like you say, it's the variables. You know, suede and nubuck are different. You know, yes, they're both sort of like a suede material, but they're from different parts of the hide. So you've got to deal with them differently. You know, you've got pigmented, you've got semi-aniline, you've got corrected grain, you've got, you know, bonded, bicast. You know, there's so many variables.
Yeah.
You know, and they all work differently. You know, then you've got things like saddling leather, crust leather, you know, veg tanned and chromium tanned and all this, and, you know, synthetic tanned and, you know, olive tanned, and they all bring different, you know, sort of challenges, which is where the training comes in, and this continual learning. You know, we continually learn today. You know, if we hear of something new, I've got to go out and research it so I can know about it, so I can pass it on to everybody else. You know, that's the beauty of it.
And you're not going to touch these different levers all the time.
No.
Most of the work I do is pigment, general, normal leather, and actually semi-anilines quite a lot. In the area I live in, and where the clients, they do have a lot of luxury sort of aniline, semi-aniline, sort of like soft, lovely, you know, soft materials and so on. So it's and that's the ones. But if I suddenly get a different leather, it'd be like, well, okay, I haven't done too many of that.
Exactly.
Not that I couldn't do it, but it's just at least I know I can refer to training manual, talk to you, just to get a quick check. Right,
pictures
what am I
through,
about to,
video through, then we can help and suggest different ways and techniques around doing that. So there is always that you know, that backup. I think is so important for a franchisee that's out on the road, that, you know, that can get instant help, you know, when they need it. You know, sometimes we're driving, so we can't obviously help instantly. You know, everybody has a life and stuff like that, so people got to bear that in mind. But I think, you know, so far as the actual franchise is concerned, has it gone like you thought it would have done from the beginning? You know, if it hasn't, just say so. You know, be quite honest. You know, we're here for honesty.
Yeah, generally, I think it has definitely. I mean, the lead generation. This is what I've always struggled with my valeting detailing business. You know, I really struggle with that, but obviously, Richard's very good at doing social media. He's always on it, and that's one of the things I realised. You know, this he can really, you know, produce content and actually gets himself out there. I'm a bit like not so outward like that, and I'm you know, but knowing, and anyway, what I mean is by that is the lead generation is very good. They're coming in. Obviously, at the beginning, like with everything new, you're in a new area. It takes a while for it to come. But once that machine starts working, we're now getting consistent leads. We have been getting consistent leads, and therefore, and we convert. If they're good, their jobs, you know, that we want to be doing or should be doing, because the conditions are right, or whatever the piece is right. We are converting a lot of those leads. You know, you can't convert everything. Not everyone's
we don't either.
But they're doing convert really well, and that's it's definitely along the lines. We're hitting what we were hoping for, like the minimum we're hoping for, quite well now. So it's really good. Obviously, it's just about now
building on
top of that.
But that's the thing with it. It's like with the lead generation side of things that we produce, obviously, because you don't spend any money on advertising. If you need to, you can do. So as a franchisee, if you want to spend more money on advertising, obviously that's going to get you more leads coming in. But we do everything from head office. That's all part of the. There's a set standard monthly management fee of £400 plus VAT that goes out to everybody. That is across the board. So that includes everything. That includes all the technical help, the support, the ongoing technical support, whether that's in your area or whether you come here. We're prepared to go anywhere to do that. But that includes all the advertising, all the new product development research that we do that goes into the franchisees and stuff like that. It helps support them. It gets them all sorts of free ongoing training. But it's obviously that advertising that it covers through Google and everywhere else and through Facebook and Instagram that we do. But once that machine, that algorithm gets going, especially with the Google ads, once that algorithm gets going, our PPC guys can learn from that algorithm, which means they can tweak those adverts continually, and they're up constantly. We get monthly meetings with them. They're continually tweaking that advert to make that algorithm work in your favour. So once that algorithm is built, and the longer it's going, the more it can generate leads. So that's the beauty with it. Like you say, from the beginning, it's slow to build. But once that kicks in, and we learn from the data, because it's all about analytical data that we're going to research. Once we've got that analytical data, we can research that, and then we can adjust all these adverts to get more traffic coming in. Because we learn not just from the clients that we're getting, but the specific type of jobs that we're getting, so we can target them more. And if we think, well, we should be getting more of that, we can adjust the spend levels to focus on that. Or you might say, I want to learn, I want to do more of this, so we can then focus on that as well. So I mean, that's the beauty with what we do. Everything is so flexible.
And that's the thing. Why I was thinking about it is what's worked so well. Obviously, before it was so weather dependent. The work I was doing before,
the detailing
and
balancing,
so on. What I found now is that my winter, for instance, I'm now indoors doing sofas, armchairs,
cake and coffee, and
exactly,
nice warm weather and everything else.
Usually much more comfortable for sure, and therefore I'm not having to reschedule. The consistency of my work now is improved. I can't tell you how many fold, but it's significant.
Obviously, we're doing mobile valeting and detailing. Obviously, if it rains, you're absolutely stuck because you've got to cancel the job.
Exactly. So, generally, there's so many weather conditions. It could be too hot, which we've had recently, and so on like that. And I've been able to know that I can, with the leather repair work, I'm just continually working. Generally continually.
So that gives you a more sustainable business, then, really, doesn't it? So you can almost budget much better for your family. Mortgages, rents, whatever you're doing, finance on vehicles, whatever it is, it allows you to budget so much more proficiently to enable to bring that money into the business. It literally the long term you can budget better because weather dependent. It doesn't matter about the weather dependency. You are going to bring that money in, no matter whether it's raining. Obviously, if we've got 10 feet of snow, no bugger's going to be going anywhere. But at least with rain, sun, and all that, wind, it doesn't affect you.
Yeah, exactly. So the only time, if obviously, I still do the leather in cars. If there are, I would say there's some occasions where I've had to, because of the weather, I've had to reschedule because they're a car. Absolutely. But I know in the winter we'll suggest to the customer, the client, they're willing to wait. We'll come March, April time or whatever when we know the weather's good. And if generally they're willing to wait.
Exactly, because they want good quality work.
Exactly,
so that clients will wait. So
that's
a good thing as well. Obviously, that weather dependency, you don't have to worry about the weather side of it. And the thing is, it's not just doing it mobile, is it? So you're going into someone's home, you can bring stuff back to your workshop, but you can also do mail order with things like, we've got shoes here around us and jackets and, handbags and that sort of thing. So, and that's obviously, I think, where Sam would come into it as well, with doing that sort of thing at home. So you can get almost like a double hit of income coming in. So that, once Sam's got used to the idea of her own sort of system working internally to make that run proficiently for you on the road, and then systems are implemented with CRMs and things like that to make things automated, it then frees time up for her so that she can do what she wants to do, which is to then focus on doing the things at home, which is through the mail order side of the business.
And that's absolutely, thank you for bringing up, talking about Sam as well, because Sam is, we are a partnership.
A fundamental part
we're
of the
totally
business,
in this together, 50-50. And actually, Sam does come out with me with certain jobs. She will come out. I mean, she's been fully trained, like I have.
Yeah, been on for all the training, and she's here today.
You know, exactly. She's and yeah, so she comes with me already. Even at the moment, there are some jobs that it's better to have two of us on because it's
absolutely.
a massive deep clean.
Yes,
I'm going to be doing the repairs.
Yeah.
She does the prep and does the cut and the deep clean, the rest of it, and so on.
Good.
And it's brilliant. It means because sometimes I'll be honest, colour mixing takes a bit of time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, colour mixing is a nightmare.
If I have to do it on site, I've got a comfort knowing the job keeps going.
Somebody else, you can keep doing the job while you're trying to do the colour mixing, or Sam does it, and you know, whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, colour mixing is the hardest part, without a shadow of a doubt. So anybody, let me tell you guys, and I'll look straight at anybody that tells you colour mixing is easy, they're wrong. Let me tell you, it is not an easy process. But you know, we do have tools, we have systems. You know, again, we have the backup. You know, it's like there's occasions where Jon struggled. Everybody struggles. I don't care whether it's a franchisee, you know, a technician. We struggle after 40 years. You know, even with a Spectro, you know, which is like a £40,000 machine, we struggle even with that because you still got to finish it by eye, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it is fundamentally the hardest part of our job, but we do try to make it as easy as we can with the scanning system, the colour card system. You know, obviously we're here, and if it goes totally wrong, we can scan it with the Spectra and then try to mix it, and, you know, and fathom it out that way. But yeah, it is one of the hardest parts, and it doesn't make life easy by any means. But it's with it, you've got to try to, if it's getting you down, then you've got to try to walk away and come back with fresh eyes, and maybe think, you know what, I've got to walk away and come back.
But I would say, even though some colours I find difficult and stuff, sometimes you do it and think, oh, sweet, absolutely, I nailed that, and it took me 20 minutes, and it's like sometimes, you know, it can take me a lot longer. But it's amazing. So that even though it can be frustrating, also it can be like
it can be an easy
like
thing,
a superstar.
Some of them you can get literally at the click of a finger, and other ones you could be there for like banging your head against a brick wall.
And it is down to the colour scanner gets you there up to the knowing what colours are there in the colour you're mixing. And it's just about, you learn over time, right, I need a bit more of that because I can see that it needs a bit more red, or it needs a bit more green, or whatever, because it needs to back something off or whatever. You know, and that's all from the training from you guys, you know, learning all these different ways of looking at paint or looking at colour. Sorry. So
So obviously with the franchise, you're not limited to just yourself or Sam doing it. You can expand, you know, and obviously in time, you know, if you wanted to either get a factory unit, you know, and obviously get employees and stuff like that, maybe have a mobile base, you know, and a fixed base as well, you know, doing it that way. Obviously, there is no extra charges for doing that. You know, the things like, you know, there isn't like an extra fee for doing that. There's only extra fees if you buy other areas. You know, and obviously, just because you've maybe got a fixed base, you know, a mobile base, and, you know, a couple of people in the fixed base, that doesn't increase the monthly management fees. Those stay completely where they are. You know, that's the beauty of what we do. Whereas a lot of franchises will increase that. We don't take percentages of turnovers. We don't take percentages of profits. That £400 a month, that is it. That is the limit. So it makes your life for budgeting a lot easier as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, we know what our outgoings are for sure. You know,
right from the beginning.
So from the beginning, and that's, we know. It's like I say, we know what we need to get in. And then everything else above that is a bonus, you know, and so on. So, you know, which obviously, when we get to that point, we could be looking into, you know, maybe getting another mobile person, maybe or something, and then change it up. But we are keeping things simple. But like I say, knowing at the beginning that you could, if you want to, if you're that way inclined, expand. You know, so
Obviously, I would say, from the beginning of the franchise, what would you say has been one of the biggest sort of challenges you've had with getting the business going? Is it that sort of, would you say it's that nervousness of maybe for the first time going into someone's home? Or obviously we're doing the detailing, was that already okay?
I've got a bit of, the thing is, I've been in the service field over my career. I began the service. Then I went off and did IT and management and so on. And now I'm back, but my comfort zone is service.
Service industry,
enough. I'm actually, even though I'm not very outwardly when I'm in front of someone, and I feel confident that I am, if you call the expert or the person that you trust to be it working on anything really, but now is on your sofa or in your armchair, whatever it might be, is building that trust, and I feel I have that ability to do that quite well in front of clients. So I've always had that comfort. I've not really had that as a problem.
It's
just down to it's making sure you do set people's expectations and
Yeah.
not and make sure you don't say you're going to do something and don't deliver
And
it.
then don't deliver
And
it.
that would be, if anything, I'm over worried. It would be worried about is that, but I'm always going the other degree.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm trying to sort of like say, and then got to be careful because you want them to be confident that you're going to get the work done.
Absolutely.
And everything else. But so it's I don't think there's anything I can think of.
Yeah, I think the one thing you've said there, I think it's quite important for any business. It doesn't matter whether you're doing this or anything else, but I think with this particular business, it's absolutely crucial, especially with the age of the internet, and everybody can see all these wonderful ways to restore leather on the internet. You wave a magic wand, and all of a sudden there's a hole this big, and it's fixed. And it's like, wow, I want that paint to go on my seat because that just fixed this huge hole. It doesn't happen. But I think that is one very important thing, which is very important, setting customers' expectation.
Yeah.
I would say that is probably, even after 40 years, we think, we still get worried when we deliver jobs back. Is the customer going to be happy? We panic, is the customer going to be okay? So it's quite a natural sort of thing to have, that sort of fight, flight sort of situation. It's like, where they're going to be. How's the customer going to react? Because a lot of the time you're dealing with clients that's maybe got something sentimental as well. It could be like a jacket that's from a long lost great granddad or grandma or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Uncle, father, or mother. It could be anything. So we do with a lot of items like that, especially with the mail order side. But I think with the franchise, it's what would you say to somebody if they were looking at coming into the industry to invest into a franchise for a certain area? Obviously, we've got West Midlands coming on board now, so we're sort of trying to expand our network. But what would you say? Obviously, do your homework, check it out, do your due diligence, all that sort of thing. But what would you say to them? What would you advise them about coming on board?
Yeah, I would say
they're obviously investing a good amount of money.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure it's definitely something. It's difficult because like I say, I've been in service. I've been working mobile as a valeter detailer for quite some time. It's not it depends on where you're coming from, I suppose. If you've been in an office and you suddenly come out and do mobile work, that's a whole different feeling and that. So just be eyes wide open. Talk to Karen and Richard about the whole any concerns, or if you're right for it or whatever. Are you just make sure you're happy to talk to people, because you will need to. You need to explain.
You've got to be more of like a people person, haven't you? Really, you've got to have those people skills to a certain degree, because you are going to be dealing with people. So,
you are. And especially if you're going out, you're the face of your franchise.
Yes,
absolutely. And so you have to be. So, but I think is making sure. I certainly wouldn't go. For me, I transitioned from being detail valeter into leather repair.
Yes.
I couldn't. You would. It's going to be slow to start with.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and if you got to pay mortgage, make sure you got money behind
money saved up to be able to pay mortgages and stuff like that. Absolutely.
Make sure you've got contingency. That's what I would say.
You've got to have that safe zone.
You'll be comfortable. If you're not comfortable financially, for me, if I'm not comfortable financially, I'll be panicking. Right. And what you'll do, you'll end up doing, you'll be saying, right, I'm going to say. They'll say, "Oh, I don't want to pay that, but I'll pay this," and you'll take it probably because you're panicking because you want to just get money.
Because you want to get
a job. The more comfortable we are, the more happy you'll be with your price structure. And you'll, and you just believe it, and you won't cut corners or anything like that, and panic and everything. So just be comfortable in yourself, really, and make sure you're financially comfortable.
I think that's quite an important thing. There is having that. Yes, you're going to have an investment into purchasing the franchise, but making sure, like you say, right from the beginning, if you've gone from a steady paid income or from a business that you're running, you're thinking, I want to transition. Obviously, you're starting like a brand new business again, so it's going to be slow to build that up. But you've got to have that comfort zone to have that money there to keep you tied over while that slowly builds. I absolutely get that.
Because it will come. It will come.
Yeah.
It's just that don't. It might come really quick, and you'll be like, "Oh, happy days."
Depends on the area, doesn't it? I suppose,
exactly.
As well.
We do feel fortunate. We in our area, it's a good area.
Yeah.
It's and there's a lot of clients there.
Yeah.
And you may even need to do your own market research. What's and try and.
Well, yes, like you were doing with the Penhurst, with the village, and you're going to the village hall. Doing like almost like educational days.
Yeah.
So this really helps sort of locally. So Jon sort of stepped outside of his comfort zone, with him and Sam, and both of them. She's gone along with Jon as well, and they're doing like these the setup where they've got like tables set up with a backdrop and things like that, because obviously they get a table and table banners and things provided. So you've gone out there with products, so you're selling the products as well. So it's not just about doing the repairs.
Yeah.
So you obviously get the opportunity to sell the products to make money from as
That's
well.
it. You're getting visibility. Why we do it is mainly to get visibility and the local area, because we start local.
Yeah.
And you go out from there. Absolutely, we do definitely do sell products. We're not there to. We're not no distribution or anything. It's just that if you got. If there's an opportunity, why not? And what we do sell some products is when you've done a job, the customer says, "Oh, what did you use to clean that? Or what should I use?"
Yeah.
Well, actually, I happen to have this in the van.
Yeah.
And you
and
think
then
like
you
that.
can educate them about it as well, can't you? About how to use it and give
opens
demonstrations.
up communication or conversation about
exactly,
it. And education's everything. You're right, and the more people understand about that, the better.
Exactly, and I think that's very important. Is that that aftercare again? We talked about at the beginning is the backup that you get as a franchisee. Again, that's the backup you're getting from the franchisee to the client that you're dealing with, and helping them and understanding and educating them about how the leather works, how the products work, and how they've got to do it as well. So I think there's like a sort of closing thing. Would you tell somebody it's a good investment to buy a franchise? It's very simple.
Oh, for sure, especially this franchise, because it's not like some franchises can be stupid amounts of money. Not being rude, it's stupid amounts of money. But this is don't get me wrong. It's an investment.
Yes, exactly. Of course it is. You've got to make sure the investment grows.
It's a proper exactly. And for me, it felt like a large investment for me, but it's been great, and it's done what I wanted to do. So for sure,
and we're obviously in the beginning stages, so we're not even a year in yet. So it can only get better and better and better.
And it will exactly. And I have full confidence. I mean, myself and Sam has full confidence it will, because the start has been really good. Because I knew it wasn't going to be. I didn't have an expectation I was going to suddenly get the massive amount of money straight away, or income straight, or revenue straight away. But it's hit our minimum, and it's like. Wow. Yeah. I thought because I have got the contingent. I thought I was going to have to dip into that, and we've not had to.
Yeah.
So good. For me, that's like that's good. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's down to lead generation, but you've got to want it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the thing. You've got to work and want it. Even to a point. You've got lead generation from if you guys are doing social media and so on, but you do have to do your own things. Like we go and go to events and things, or have a stand at events, get visibility, and you don't know, you don't know how much will come back from that, but over time it's bound to. But going back to your question, definitely I recommend it. Just go eyes wide open and get your expectations correct. It's because you've got the backup of Richard and Carolyn there, and the confidence level was, for me it was great. It was really, really good, and it's continued. So it's I'll definitely do it. And for me it was an easy transition, because being mobile and being in the service work already. So it's a brilliant step.
I mean, we've had people who've been police officers that had franchises previously. Where they're sort of come into semi-retirement. We've had people that were worked at Claire's Accessories. We've had someone as a franchise gone from doing that then into this, which is completely different. Completely different. But they actually worked in the back end in the office and stuff like that. So they're doing admin. So they will almost like sort of corporate level, and then come into literally field service. And it's worked really well for them. So great. So love it. Been a good time chatting. So how can people get hold of you? What's the business phone number? How do they get hold of you?
Yes. So my name's Jon. Just to go over it again. The mobile number we use is 07368 517 096. Email address lrckent@leatherrepaircompany.com. And we're based in Tunbridge, and the word Penshurst near Tunbridge. And just give us a shout.
But cover the whole of Kent, and then sort of surrounding areas, dipping into like bottom of Essex and stuff like that. And
definitely, exactly. It's just we'll send you a notification quote. And sometimes we have to say, if we've got to travel really outside of area, we're going to have to charge accordingly.
Absolutely.
Charge and so on. So it's
if you're going like a couple of hours down the road or whatever, then you're going to have to charge something for travelling. It's quite understandable.
Exactly. But we're all very fair pricing. And look forward to keep going and doing more work
growing
and everything. Growing, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. That was Jon. He is the franchise owner for Kent, and then obviously there's his partner Sam as well, which she does all the administration side at the moment and the marketing and the financials of the business. So it's a great partnership that they've got going there. You've heard it directly from his mouth. It is a good investment. So if you wish to know about a franchise, please go onto our website, leatherrepaircompany.com. There is the franchise section. Click on it. There is a whole information pack you can download. Have a read through it. Fill in the form, contact us. We will get you to sign some documents so that we can talk to you about all the ins and outs on the private side of the business of what we do, and we can take it from there. And if you want to buy a franchise, we're here to listen. Thanks, guys. See you soon.